Anyway, Parshas Vayishlach. It says that Yaakov sent malachim. Some people say they were regular human beings. Rashi says they were angels to his brother Esav. Now, the Meforshim bring down that he sent mincha le'esav achiv, a gift. And he sent a whole bunch of different animals. It's interesting that the animals he sent, some were male, some were female. So R.Rabbi Yosef has an interesting approach. He asks, why don't you just send all male animals or all female animals? So he brings down a famous Gemara. Gemara brings down that a person was visiting and he had chickens and he forgot the chickens. So the owner of the house kept the chickens, and of course the chickens started to get 20, 30, 40, 50, and eventually he sold the chickens and bought goats, and the goats got to multiply. And when the person came back and says, where are my chickens? He says, here, take your goats. Because his investment, went from $10 to a few $100 because the animals produced. So Rabbi Yosef said that Yaakov sent these gifts to Esav. And he did it because Esav was threatening him. And one day, Esav has to return those gifts. So Yaakov says, you know what, I'm going to send male and female. Because what I sent him is worth $1,000. But in 1,000 years, those animals multiply and multiply and multiply, they'll be worth millions, they'll be worth billions. So Esav will be sending back to me millions and millions of dollars. That's what Rabbi said.
Why Esav should send him back?
Because Yaakov felt that Esav didn't deserve these gifts. He was being threatened. And therefore he sent the gifts because of threatening. So one day Hashem will make him give it back. So at least let him give it back with interest. Now it's interesting that the Western society is called Edom, and the United States sends every year to Israel millions of dollars, in foreign aid. So it's interesting, right? That what we sent to Esav 2,000 or 3,000 years ago, we are getting back hundreds of millions of dollars. Maybe one thing is payment for the other. I don't know. It's very, very interesting.
They call Edom is the what? The West?
Yeah, Edom is the Western world. You have the Eastern world is Ishmael, the Muslim world, and the Western society is referred to as Edom.
So America is West.
Correct. That's what it is. Now, there's an interesting debate. They were burying Yaakov in the Morat HaMachpelah. So Esav said, no, you got one spot for Leah, this spot's for me. So they said in Shemayim, Yaakov and Esav were debating, and Yaakov said to Esav, only someone who kept the Torah can be buried in the Morat HaMachpelah. So the Gemara brings down a machlok, an interesting machlok. One opinion is only someone who kept all 613 mitzvahs. Another opinion says, even if you kept one mitzvah, but you kept it perfectly, you could get buried in the Morat HaMachpelah. You get Olam Haba. So Esav said as follows. He said to Yaakov, he said, listen, if one mitzvah is enough, I'm good. Kibur Avayim. I did it. If you need all 613 mitzvot, you're no good either, because you weren't here to take care of our father. So either I'm in, or you're out. Either way, you don't belong here. So Yaakov answered him, he says, I loved you. You always hated me. What's that an answer to? How does that answer it? So the Meforshim say that Yaakov said to Esav, you're right, nobody can do all 613 mitzvot. Some belong only to kings and women, and some only to Kohanim, and some only in Israel, and some only outside of Israel. But he says, we have a rule, Kol Yisrael Arevim Zel Zeh. If Jews love each other, then you do a mitzvah, I get the reward, we're partners. So he says, I loved you. So your mitzvah of honoring mom and dad, I get the reward for. So I'm good with 613. Had you loved me, you would also be good, but you hated me. So you're out. So that's why he didn't get away. Now, the Chafetz Chaim was known to say that there's 613 mitzvot, there's one mitzvah for every part of the body. Because the 613 is the muscles and the veins and everything else. He says, like if a person has a weak heart, find a mitzvah that is for the heart, and do that mitzvah, and the heart will get stronger. So they said, Kibur Av is for the head. So Esav, who did Kibbud Av, what ended up in the Maratam Peilah was his head. Yaakov, who was afraid that he didn't do it well enough, when he came and went to sleep, he put rocks around his head to protect his head. The rocks didn't protect the body, but they protected the head. So they talk about that. Of course, everybody questions, how was it possible for Yaakov to do all 613 mitzvahs? I mean, he was in Lavan's house. I mean, the mitzvahs didn't apply. There was no Beis Hamikdash. There were no korbanot. So there's a famous Gemara. The Gemara says, it's a Gemara Menachos, Zos Toras HaChatas. These are the laws of the Chatas. Or Zos Toras HaOsham. So the Gemara says, Kol ha'osek b'Toras Chatas, if you learn, you study the rules, it's as if you brought the Korban Chatas. That's why in the morning we do Korbanot, right? We read about the Korbanot as if we brought it. Or when there's a Musaf, in the Musaf we read about the Korbanot as if we brought it. So Yaakov says, I never said I observed all 613 mitzvahs. I says, in Lovam Gati v'tayarg mitzvahs shamarti, I watched over them. I studied them. So as long as I studied all 613 mitzvahs, that's good enough. That's good enough. Now some people say that even if you say by staying by Lavan's house he was honoring his parents because his parents sent him there, but he still married two sisters, and that's not allowed according to the Torah. So Rav Yosef Engel, he has a whole thing on this. He says that if you're within one, it's as if you feel you did it. That means if you did 612 mitzvot, it's like you did 613. Mm-hmm. When we give makos, we don't give 40, we give 39. We're in one, that's good enough. He has a whole bunch of examples, gematrias. If the gematria is off by one, that's okay. He holds that within one is counts. So therefore he wasn't really bothered by all that. The Medrash has an interesting debate. The Medrash says that when Esav was marching towards Yaakov, and Yaakov confronted him, the Medrash criticizes Yaakov. He says it's like pulling the ear of a dog. What are you doing? Why are you creating a fight that maybe could have been avoided? You should have simply gone straight home to Esav, to Yitzchak's house, to Rivka. Why are you fighting? On the other hand, the Medrash says that when Yaakov separated his family, so he crossed the Jordan and he was going to run away. So Hashem sent the Malach, and the Malach touched him on his thigh, and now he couldn't walk, so he couldn't run away. So what was it? Was it that Hashem wanted him to stay and fight? Or was it that Hashem wanted him to run away? What was the best advice for Yaakov? So there's an interesting answer. The answer is that in this world we don't look for problems. Why? Because Hashem sends us plenty of our problems anyway. That means people have problems. But those problems are not problems we create, they're problems Hashem sends us. Problems that we create don't have solutions. Problems that Hashem sends us often has solutions. So, Yaakov, he didn't want to run away. He could have avoided the problem, but he didn't want to run away. How he dealt with it depends. I'll give you an example. I'll give you some examples. Let's say you have a difficult boss. You work for a man in a company, and it's a very difficult man, very hard to work for him. So what are your choices? So you could run away, right? You could quit, run away, but that's not the solution. The first solution is sit down with the boss and talk. Tell me what I'm doing wrong, what can I do better, how can we work this out? You try to work out an arrangement. If that doesn't help, then you have to figure out, does the benefits of the job outweigh the inconvenience? For example, the job pays well, has a medical plan, it's near your house. Maybe the job it's a good enough job that even though it's not perfect, I'll live with it. Of course, the third option is that if the job is just not worth it, you could always quit and find a different job. But at least you're not running away. You're trying to fix the problem. You're evaluating whether the problem is worthwhile or not. And the last option is to leave. Person is in a marriage. things are not going well. So you sit down and you talk, you go to a marriage counselor, you work it out. If that doesn't help, then you evaluate. Is the marriage more good than bad? Then you stay. But if the marriage is all bad, then you leave. You know, every problem has solutions. And that's what the Malach said. When he asked Yaakov, what's your name? He said, Yaakov. He says, no, your name is Yisrael. Yisrael means that you can work out your problems successfully. That was the level. Some people say Yisrael comes from the word Yashar. Yud Shin Resh means straight.
Yeah.
Yaakov said, you know, I'm called Yaakov because everybody says I'm a crook, I'm a thief. I deceived my brother twice, you know, I tricked him twice. I want you to validate me. I want you to change my name and say, no, I didn't cheat Esav. It was right the way I acted. So he says, I give you a bracha. Your name is Yisrael. Yashar, you're a straight guy. Yaakov is an emistic guy. Of course, then Yaakov says, what's your name? And usually, when you say to give someone your name, and then you want their name, it's because you want to have a relationship. So the angel says to Yaakov, you don't need my name. Why? We're never going to be friends. You know, I'm the Malach HaMavis, I'm the Satan, I'm the Yetzirah. I want your name because I'm going to elevate you from Yaakov to Yisrael. But if you want my name, it means you want to have a friendship with me, we'll never be friends. Don't waste your time, you know. Go on your way.
He's a bad angel, right? He was a bad angel.
You know, in theory, there's no such thing as good or bad angels. He's an angel who has a job to do.
Yeah.
His job to do is something that it's not pleasant for us.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe one day he'll be out of business, you know, we'll retire.
But he's a negative person.
Correct.
He's giving him blessing. It doesn't match.
You know, listen, sometimes getting a blessing from someone who loves you doesn't mean a lot. Getting a blessing from someone who doesn't like you means a lot more.
Yeah.
You know, so that could be what it is. And some problems only have partial solutions. You know, the situation may not be great, but it's better than it was. We have to recognize that. Not every problem has, you know, people come to me with problems. Not every problem has an answer. Not every problem has a perfect answer. Sometimes it's better than what it was. In the end, because of what happened with Yaakov, we don't eat the git hanosha. That's the hind quarter. So we don't have the filet mignon. You know, most places don't waste their time to traver. They just sell the hind quarter to the non-Jewish market. It's interesting that on Pesach, we eat the matzah. I might have thought, no, matzah is horrible. It reminds us of the slavery in Egypt. We should eat on Pesach bread, and not only bread, but really big bread, you know, high, fluffy bread, you know. But we don't. We eat the matzah because Pesach symbolizes our victory over the matzah. So therefore, the matzah reminds us that we fought and we won. The Gid HaNoshe seems to imply a failing in Yaakov. He tried to run away. Hashem had to prevent him. So the Gid HaNoshe actually has memories of not success but a failure, and therefore we don't need the Gid HaNoshe. The Meforshim brings down over here that some people say that the Torah really never forbade the Gid HaNoshe. Right? It's just the Shvatim. It says, therefore, the children of Yaakov didn't need the Gid HaNoshe, as if they took it upon themselves as their own personal restriction. Why? Because they failed their father by letting him be alone. When Yaakov crossed over the river, he went by himself. And in those days, it was very dangerous to be alone. So the brothers, the sons, said, we're not going to eat the Gid HaNoshe because we have to do teshuvah for letting our father be alone. Mm-hmm. So, and eventually it became part of the Torah. The Gid HaNoshe has no flavor. There's no taste to it. You know, if it falls into a soup, you can take it out, it's kosher. But if you lose it, it's not batal even 1,000 to 1. That means it has a certain status. That means, let's say the Gid HaNoshe falls into a big vat of meat, and now you can't find it.
Oh, lose it, you're not find it.
Right. So normally,
but if you find it, take it away.
That's good. But if you can't find it, even if there's 1,000 to 1, it's all forbidden. You know, normally taste goes 60 to 1, but the Gid Hanosha has no taste. So you have to get rid of the Gid Hanosha. You don't have the choice of letting it there.
So I didn't get it. If you cook it and do it with the Gid Hanosha and then find it, take it away, you can eat
It's
it.
still good, because the Gid Hanosha has no flavor, no taste.
But if you put it and couldn't find it, no good, no,
good,
cannot eat it.
Nothing.
Mhm.
It's gone.
You have to find it and take it away.
You have to say, find it,
Even
take it
after
out.
cooking.
That's right.
So we can cook and take it away.
In theory, yes.
We
Okay.
can do it still, it's now
Yeah, well, we really,
in our time.
right, but most people have never seen the Gid Hanosha. I have a Gid Hanosha at home, I took out of an animal.
You
Right.
showed us the picture.
I have it.
Oh, even the
I have the
pictures.
actual
Absolutely,
Gid, right.
yeah, with under pepper, right?
Correct.
Mm.
Now, it's interesting, Rabbi Yosef Chaim Zonenfeld brings down something. It says, Vayiga, and he touched Kaf Yerecho, his thigh. He says the word Vayiga, he touched, equals 89, which is the gematria of Chanukah. Kaf Yerecho, his thigh, is 336, the same gematria as Purim. He says, Esav represented to Yaakov Chanukah and Purim. I don't want Esav, the guy who loves me but wants to assimilate me, the Chanukah story. And I don't want the Amalek, which is from Esav, the guy who wants to kill me. That means save me from both. That means Yaakov davened that we should have no connection with Esav. Not a Chanukah connection and not a Purim connection. Okay? We don't want anything, not Chanukah and not Purim. Now, it says the Malach touched Yaakov's thigh. Why? Why did he do that? So the short answer was, so Yaakov shouldn't run away. But there are other answers. The Medrash Tanchuma Hayoshan, he says that the angel was fighting Yaakov, and Yaakov was fighting back. So the angel wasn't sure, was this Yaakov a person or an angel? He says angels don't have joints. They can't bend, they can't sit. So he was searching on his thigh to see if there's any joints. And then, of course, when he saw the joint, he knew Yaakov was a person. He touched it. So he says the whole reason why the joint went out was because the angel touched it. Why did the angel touch it? Because he was looking to see if he was a malach or not. The Rabbeinu Bachai, he says that was Yaakov's weak point, because he married two sisters. There's a Gemara that says a woman is very jealous if a guy has a second wife. When she sees the thigh of the second wife, oh, look how pretty the second wife is. The Gemara describes it as the thigh. So if Yaakov had two wives, then the part of his body that was what we call vulnerable was the thigh. So the Malach touched him on the thigh, saying to Yaakov, you really crossed the line when you married two sisters. Yaakov didn't have much of a choice because of all the tricks that were happening, but he did say it to him. The Baal HaTurim says something very brilliant. The Baal HaTurim says that the Malach said to Yaakov, you bought the right to be the firstborn from your brother Esau. He said, yes. Why? Why'd you buy it? What did you want? What were you going to gain? So Yaakov's answer was, as the firstborn, if there be a Beit HaMikdash, I could do the work in the Beit HaMikdash. Because in those days, who did the work in the Beit HaMikdash? The firstborns. Mm-hmm. He says, I'm going to make you a Baal Mum. I'm going to touch your thigh. So now you can't even do the work in the Beit HaMikdash. Which means cheaters never prosper. You thought you bought it so you could do the work in the Beit HaMikdash. You're out. Of course, Hashem cured him, but that was his plan. Another interesting answer was that, today we keep documents in a safe, or somewhere hidden. In the olden days, when they traveled, they used to keep documents, they used to tie it on their foot. Mm-hmm. So when Yaakov bought the firstborn from Esau, there was a document. So the Malach touched him by the foot because he wanted to steal back the document. He wanted to steal back the proof. So that's why he touched him there. So there's a lot of different interesting reasons as to why, of all the places, Yaakov was most vulnerable in the thigh. But that's where it was. That's where he was able to get it there. But Yaakov says, listen, I want a bracha from you, and he gave him a bracha, and the bracha was that Esav accused Yaakov of treachery. Vayomer achi korah shmo Yaakov, that's why he called him Yaakov. Vayakvenu zeh pamayim, he tricked me twice. He took my firstborn, and now he took my blessings. And Yaakov wanted justification. He wanted to be vindicated. He wanted the Malach to say, no, you're entitled, it's yours, you earned it, it comes to you legally. There are 3 places in the Torah that it says that the Jewish people bought the places. Hebron, Avram bought it. Shechem, Yaakov bought it. And the R.Rabbi, the old city Yerushalayim, David HaMelech bought it. It's interesting, the 3 places that the Torah clearly says they were bought for a certain amount of money are hotly contested areas. The Arabs fight over Shechem all the time. Hebron is still in the Arab hands, and the R.Rabbi is still in the mosque is over there. It's just interesting that the 3 areas where the Torah clearly says were bought represent hotly contested areas. They say Shechem represents the Torah because it has Har Grizim and Har Evel. The Beis Hamikdash represents Avodah, and Hebron, that had Avram's tent, his house, represents Gemilat Chasodim. Okay, finally, Esav meets Yaakov and his family. So Yaakov presents the family. So what does he do? Leah goes, and the children. Bilhah goes, and the children. Zilpah goes, and the children. When it comes to Rachel, Yosef goes first. Why, Rashi says? Yosef says, I don't want Esav looking at my mother.
She's too beautiful.
She's too beautiful. Even though, technically, Rachel was never for Esav. Leah was. And Dinah was going to eventually be. But Esav might have argued that once he married Leah, Rachel automatically fell to me, whatever it was. Because Yosef did this, Yosef has a bracha. No ayin hara. Yosef is protected from the ayin hara. One of his symbols is fish, because fish protects you from ayin hara. But the Tolna Rebbe is an interesting question. He says, at that time, how old was Yosef? Probably about 5 or 6 years old. He says, a 5 or 6 year old is probably about 2.5 feet tall, 3 feet tall. That means it probably his head came up to Rachel's waist. So, protect Asa from seeing the beautiful Rachel, impossible. It didn't work. So what's so special about what he did? So the Tolna Rebbe says, very interesting answer. He says sometimes doing something is better than doing nothing. He says, we see from here that even though Yosef couldn't accomplish what he wanted to accomplish, he wasn't tall, he wasn't 6 feet tall, but at least, he put distance between Esav and Rachel. He says, in the Beis Hamikdash in Hanukkah, they had the same debate. We have 1 jar of oil. How long is it going to take to make new oil? 8 days. So what should we do? Maybe we should light and wait 7 days. Maybe we should wait 7 days and then light. And then we'll just light continuously. What to do? So people said, let's light now, and then whatever happens, happens. But it's too little. It's doing something is better than doing nothing. That was their argument. So the whole Hanukkah story is the same idea. Do something is sometimes better than doing nothing. So that's what we learn a little bit from Yosef. We know that Yaakov was punished, that Dinah was taken by Shechem, because he did not let Dinah marry Esav, which is very difficult. Esav, at that point, Yaakov was over 100 years old. So Esav was also 100 years old. How old was Dinah? 10, 15, 17? The age difference was tremendous, number one. Number two, Esav had wives. Esav had 3 wives. Number 3, if you're saying make Esav more religious, Avraham tried, Yitzchak tried, Rivka tried, Yaakov tried. A lot of people tried. What would make Dinah more successful? So they bring down a very interesting answer. Women have greater success with their husbands because the Torah empowers them. Because it says that when Hashem gave Chava to Adam, he says, I'll make for you an Ezer Kenegdo. It means I give wives the power to get under their husband's skin, so-called, and change them a little bit. He says, Avraham doesn't have a pasuk that empowers him. Yitzchak didn't have a pasuk that empowers him. But Dinah would have come with the Torah. The pasuk says that a wife has that power. It's a special bracha from Hashem. So even though others tried and failed, but still, Dinah might have been successful. That's what Hashem was bothered. It says that Rivka sent Devorah, her nursemaid. Rashi says it wasn't her nursemaid, it was her mother. Devorah was Rivka's mother, Yaakov's grandmother. And she sent the grandmother to bring Yaakov back home, because Yaakov didn't go home. And when she died, Rivka died. So therefore Yaakov mourned the loss of his grandmother and his mother at the same time. So they bring down from the Vilna Gaon that why did she send the grandmother? Because the grandmother was really very close to Yaakov and educated him and taught him. He says the Vilna Gaon was a genius, but he always used to stand up and show great respect to his first grade teacher. Why? Because his first grade teacher taught him the Aleph Beis. He knew all of Shas, he knew everything. But he says, the person who gave me the foundation, that's the most important Rebbe that I had. He had tremendous respect, he said, for his first grade teacher, the Vilna Gaon. Like Moshe Feinstein, he respected his first grade teacher. Not the teacher that taught him the complicated Gemaras and everything else. He says, because the person who puts you on the path is the one that sets you straight. Now, the Das Akeni Mibali Atosa, just a few more things and then we'll call it a night. He says that even if all the time Yaakov spent in Lavan's house, he was honoring his parents' wishes, which is true, they sent him there. Esav still had an edge over Yaakov. What was the edge? Esav lived in Israel. Yaakov was in Chutz La'aretz. And it's a shocking answer. He says, we look at some of the Israelis as being very extreme left. We call them pushtakim, modern Israelis. They don't keep any Torah or mitzvos. And yet, they're there. They fight for the land. They defend the country. They may have greater rewards than you and me, because we're here in Chutz La'aretz, and they're living in Israel. And believe it or not, the zchut of living in Israel is tremendous. So Yaakov, in spite of the fact that he kept all the Torah and everything else, even without all that, he still was afraid of Esav. Why? What edge did Esav have? Esav had an edge that Esav lived in Israel. And that's an edge. That was fascinating. He brings down over here all the children, when they got their names, the reason was first, and then the name came. Except by Reuven. The name came first, and then the reason. So the Vilna Gaon says, because there were two reasons for Reuven. One is that now my husband will love me, but the other reason is that Leah says, my son will be different than Yaakov and Esav. Yaakov and Esav hated each other, fought each other. My son will defend the family, which is true, because by Yosef, who came to save him was Reuven. Reuven wanted to save Yosef. So she saw in Nevuah that Reuven would protect the family. And that's why she called him that. Now, the Me'am Lois has some very interesting statistics. He says Reuven was born on the 14th day of Kislev. His birthday was like 2 days ago. He was born right before Hanukkah, which is interesting because we make a connection between the Hanukkah candles and the Dudaim and everything else. There's a whole bunch of Midrashim. Reuven was born right before Hanukkah, the week before Hanukkah. Shimon was born in the middle of the winter, Tevet, 28th of Tevet, like the end of January. Levi was born on Pesach, the second day of Pesach, Tes Vav Nisan. Tes Zayin Nisan, 16th day of Nisan. Levi was born in April, he was born in Nisan. Yehuda was born in Sivan a week after Shavuot, which is interesting because David HaMelech was born on Shavuot.
What month is in the show?
Shavuot is June. So Yehuda was born in June. Dan, which means to judge, was born in Elul. And Naphtali, his brother, was born in Tishrei. So they were the judgment dates. Gad was born in Mar Cheshvan, and Yisachar was born right after Purim in Adar. Zvulun was born also in Tishrei, and Yosef was born in Tammuz, right at the start of the summer months, right before the 3 weeks. Binyamin was also born in Mar Cheshvan, the 11th of Mar Cheshvan, because that's when Rachel died. Rachel's yortzeit is Binyamin's birthday.
The same day?
Yeah, she died the day she gave birth.
Oh.
When Binyamin was born, Yaakov was 100 years old. 2 months are not listed. We have 12 children. A few were born in Tishrei, a few were born in Mar Cheshvan. The months that seem to have been left out is Shvat, which is December, and Iyar, May. Ephraim and Menashe. So they say that Ephraim was born in Shvat, and Menashe was born in Iyar. So there's a child born, and there's a month for every child. That means the Bnei Yissaschar goes through every month of the calendar, and he shows how every month represents a different Shevet. And each Shevet has its own special month.
So 2 of the 12 sons in the same month.
Some months had 2, right. Tishrei had 2, Cheshvan had 2.
So it's got like 14 Shvatims, but
Right.
12 months.
12 months. 14 Shvatim, but 12 months. Okay? So that's where it's at. One last thing over here, in the business halacha, was just very interesting. He had a question. He says, someone's good friend was getting married in Israel. So let's say Chaim's getting married in Israel, and he says to Moshe, come to my wedding. Moshe says, I would like to come, but I can't afford the ticket. So Chaim says, I'll pay for your ticket. Okay, great. Books a ticket with Halal, comes to the airport. It's Sunday night, the wedding is Thursday, but he came a few days earlier. He comes to the airport, and the flight is overbooked. So they make an announcement, if anybody has a ticket and is willing to fly tomorrow, we'll give you a voucher for $1,000, like a free ticket. So Moshe says, okay, I volunteer. He was going for the wedding. The wedding's not till Thursday, what does he care? So now he got a free ticket. Comes to Israel, comes to the wedding, says to Chaim, guess what? Such a pleasure to be here. And by the way, when you have a baby, I can come again because I got a free ticket. Chaim says, when you got a free ticket? Well, I got bumped. He says, yeah, but I paid for the ticket.
So it's my money.
That's my money. That free ticket belongs to me. He says, no, but I was the one that got bumped. He says, yeah, you got bumped on my ticket. I paid for your ticket. So what's the halacha? Who gets the ticket? So the answer is, it's interesting, the answer is, the reason why you got the voucher is because you were inconvenienced. You're in Israel, wasn't inconvenienced. I was inconvenienced. I was at the airport, got to take my suitcase off, I had to go back home, I had to come back. Yeah. I got inconvenienced.
It was his decision to say, yeah, I'm going to come tomorrow.
That's right. It was my choice, my decision, my inconvenience, I get the ticket. The fact that you bought it was a gift. Thank you very much. Thank you for the gift. But just because you bought me a gift doesn't mean you get all the benefits of the gift. The gift is mine. The decision came after me.
I do what I want.
I do what I want. So he gets to keep the ticket. But it's interesting, it's not always so obvious. Yeah. Someone sent you to, for example, my mother-in-law sent me to CVS to buy her Flonase, something for her because she had a cold. And I go, and I had a coupon, $2 off. So now I give the coupon, $2 off. what do I charge her? Do I charge her the full price, or is full price that's $2? So it's my coupon.
Full price, I think.
You see, there are questions that come up that are not always so obvious, as to what you do.
What did you do?
Yeah, I'm a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. But, it's, the coupon was yours, and you used the coupon. You
And
cut out the coupon.
you made it like this, right?
Yeah, you might be able to do that. Correct. Not everything is, there are many modern day shilas that, you can see both sides of the coin. It's not so simple. Things get interesting. Okie doke. Have a good night.
Good night, thank you.
Next
So
week.
next week, right?
God willing.